the organics hauler, the compost hauler for Civic Center EATS.
Well, welcome, Tom. He'll be speaking a little bit later about our composting procedures for this season. And we also have joining us Lisa.
Hi, everybody. My name is Lisa Strawn. I'm with the Regional Air Quality Council, and I am the manager of the Engines Off grant for food trucks and mobile businesses. So I'll be talking about that shortly. And thanks for having me here today.
Wonderful. Welcome, Lisa. And then in addition, we have three of our EATS vendor veterans, people who have been with us for multiple seasons, to offer some insight on what it's like to be a vendor at EATS. First, we have Nico from the Berliner House.
To meet you, this is Nico with Berliner House. I've been, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. You're good.
No, I was just saying, just introducing myself. Sorry, I'm in the middle of driving a semi, so I'll try to chime in when I can.
Great. Welcome, Nico. And we have Abby from the Mile High Tika and Charlie.
Hey, Allison. We have been the vendor at the Civic Center for the last 3 years, and that has been an opening door for us for other businesses, and that gave us a recognition in Denver, and we're very grateful and thankful for all the help that has been coming away from you guys. I'm happy to be back again.
Great, thank you. And last but not least, we have Barbara.
Hi, I'm Barbara, and I'm from Karun Cafe, a coffee trailer.
Wonderful. Welcome, Barbara. Well, thank you all again for joining us. So as we get started, I'll go ahead and go through today's agenda just so you get a sense of what you have to look forward to in our presentation. Eric, if you wouldn't mind going to the next slide. Thank you. So the whole purpose of this session is to get to know a little bit more about the EATS program, as well as give you some tools to be able to submit a successful application, and then just how to get the most out of the EATS experience. We also have some information to share about some changes in Civic Center Park vis-a-vis the construction that's happening in the park. So first, we're going to start with an overview of Civic Center Conservancy and Civic Center EATS specifically, talk about some of those changes. We'll actually go in and review the application and point out some questions and give a few pointers as you're filling out that application. We'll review some specific requirements for vendors and reviewing our selection criteria, how we're choosing vendors for the event. Then we'll hear from our sustainability partners for EATS, and then get a chance to talk to the EATS vendors who've done EATS before and have them share some of their experiences. So, and then we'll of course leave some some time for questions from all of you. So that should take about 75 minutes. And so without further ado, we can get started.
Great. So I want to just explain a little bit about who we are as an organization. Civic Center Conservancy is an independent nonprofit organization that has been around for more than 20 years. We were started and created by a group of people that were really passionate about taking care of this important civic space at the heart of Denver. When Mayor Hickenlooper convened a group of people that he wanted to get together and say, hey, we have this great space. It's used by so many different groups, so many different types of events, whether it's protests, we have celebrations, coming together to celebrate the championships from the Broncos, the Avs, the Nuggets, and all these huge festivals, Taste of Colorado when it was happening, 420 when it was a protest, now its own festival in its own right, Pride Fest, Cinco de Mayo, like all kinds of events happening, and the city didn't have the capacity to care for it at the level that it needed to be. So Civic Center Conservancy was created with the mission to keep Civic Center Park active and thriving for all. We do that by providing supplemental maintenance and care for the physical park, whether that is through the volunteer program that we have called Sparkles. We provide additional maintenance and volunteer work in the flower beds and for the people. We activate the park with events, and that's what Allison and I do. We are the two-person activations team, and so we rely on lots of folks to help us out with that activations, including all of you in helping us put on these great events. And we work through partnerships, and that's the other part of my job, is the partnerships that we develop that create social impact in the park. And so some of those partners are like Youth on Record, working with Bayard in the past, who help bring about change in the park, making impact through the programming that we put on. And then for the future, we fundraise and advocate for the park and its future. We helped get $30,000 for the park with the construction that's going on. And we'll talk more about what that looks like. But we are helping to bring about the important and necessary changes to the park. The park was built in 1919, or finished in 1919, which was over 100 years ago. And the work that's going on now is part of the next 100. After 100 years, we want to help bring the next best 100 years of the park into the future. And so the work that's going on with the construction is to help that, to make it ADA accessible, wheelchair accessible, stroller accessible, and to create more spaces in the park so that more community groups, community members can use it and continue to make it a space that's for everyone into the future. A little bit more about EATS. EATS was one of the first programs that Civic Center Conservancy created. It kicked off in 2008. It was actually a farmer's market at first, but then the team realized that people didn't really want to come down and buy their groceries during their lunchtime. And so when food trucks started becoming more popular, it transformed and evolved into a food truck rally. And that's where you all come in. It's been a food truck rally for a number of years now, and grew to its height. There used to be 30 trucks on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays at the height of EATS in like 2018, 2019. But then, as we all know, the pandemic hit, and we've been slowly recovering. When I started in 2023, we finally got back to 2 days of the week. And last year, we had the highest number of attendees in a year since 2020. And so we're excited at the continual growth. We keep marketing to folks to see the event as a way for them to get out, get some sunshine, connect with people, which is really important for mental health, connecting with community, and supporting small businesses. And so, you know, we see EATS as a platform to support small businesses. We see EATS as a platform to connect with each other, and really promoting to folks that are working from home in the Golden Triangle, in Cap Hill, you know, in the nearby communities, to come down to this park. This is one of the biggest green spaces for the residents of lower downtown, of the Golden Triangle, and parts of Cap Hill. You know, this green space is important. So, you know, it's great for them to come out and get out, and it's great to support these small businesses. So who are the audience? Who comes to EATS? What's unique about EATS is, unlike many of the events that you may be going to, this is an event specifically about getting lunch. So everyone coming down is intentionally coming for lunch. They're city and state employees. There's so many city and state buildings close by. That includes the library, the web building, all of the Capitol and its the state Capitol and its associated buildings. They're visitors to the Golden Triangle. There's so many people that come by with their little stickers because they went to the art museum, or they went to the Kirkland, or, you know, they went to the Clifford Still Museum. So there's all the tourists or the history museum, and that includes school groups. We've had plenty of school groups that have come through EATS. There are tourists, whether they're here for a convention, they're staying at the hotel for some reason. We get plenty of visitors that have come through EATS, both local and international tourists. And of course, there's the downtown workers, there's the local workers that live, the residents that live nearby. We've had apartment complexes, the large apartment buildings that have come to us and said, hey, how can we engage our residents? And we've said, like, talk to your residents, tell them about coming out to eat if they're working from home, like help them connect to this green space and, you know, like organize your residents that are working from home to get outside during the day, especially on these nice, beautiful, sunny days that we have here in Denver. So that's who comes to EATS. So I've mentioned this Next 100 plan, this project. Here is an overview of the park, and the yellow shows where construction is taking place. As you can see, it's not the entire park. The park is not closed. We are keeping it active. And you can see the icon on the left on Bannock Street. That's where we're moving EATS. In a minute, Allison is going to show you a site map of where EATS is going to be taking place. But you can see there is so much of the park that is still open, and we're going to keep it thriving and active. And so we're excited about this transformation and this reinvigorating of the park. That image on the bottom shows you a concept of what's going on in the park. If you have not heard, they are going to be building a stage on the opposite of the Greek theater that is going to allow for events to be taking place on the stage with a structure over it that will allow for rigging of lights, sound, which could not take place on the historic structure of the Greek theater, which most people didn't realize. If anyone wanted to come in and have an event, the stage in the Greek is very challenging. It has multiple levels. You had to sometimes build your own stage, which was so costly and expensive, and those levels like made it impossible for people in wheelchairs to move around. So what's happening is they're going to be building it so that when you come in on the south side from over here, coming in from 14th Avenue, from where the library and art museum are, it's going to be 0 grade all the way to the opposite side of the park. And that's why this entire area is yellow, is because that entire project will make it so you can go from the south side of the park to the north side of the park and not have to go up steps. They're also adding power, water throughout the entire park. So for events, for food trucks, it's going to be easier for you to plug in, not have to use generators. If you maybe get an electric battery from RAC or solarize your truck, like you don't even have to worry about that. It'll be great. So we're really excited about the future of the park, and construction is going to be going on throughout this year, hopefully finishing up sometime mid-year in 2027. And we're just excited about all the new things. And beyond just the pathways and the power and water, there's going to be new spaces in the park for a lot of smaller activities, courtyards, things like that. So a lot coming for the new park, and we're really excited about it, and we're excited to support it. So yeah, I'm going to hand it off to Allison now. That's going to talk about what this year of EATS is going to look like.
Yeah, thanks, Eric. So we have this very interesting year ahead of us. But before we do that, I wanted to give you guys some numbers on what last year's EATS looked like, just so if you're new to this event, you can get a sense of what the overall year looks like. So 2025, we had 18 weeks. That's 36 total dates from May until October. For over that entire time, we had over 26,000 people come through the event. That averaged to about 745 people per day. And that's we had 53 unique food trucks that came out for Eats at some point during the season, whether it was a regular or a drop-in placement. The average number of trucks we had each day at Eats was 11.4. So we'll get into that a little bit later about the different seasons. And as we have busier parts of the season and less, sometimes we'll schedule more food trucks. Overall, our trucks reported over $237,000 of earned revenue over the course of their participation in Eats. That's reported, so that's actually lower than what the total was. That came out to about $720 on average per day for entree trucks and about $280 per day for dessert and beverage trucks. Overall, we had over 12,000 unique transactions, sales transactions for all of our trucks. And that came out to about 44 per entree truck and 35 per beverage or dessert truck per day. So gives you a sense of some numbers and stats. So as we're looking forward to 2026, we are excited to continue this 3-season model that we have. Eric, if you might, there we go. We are keeping the Wednesday and Thursday schedule from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. So that's the lunchtime. We have our load-in period starting from 9 o'clock. There we go. So we have a couple different windows to help stagger load-in, depending if you have a standalone food truck or if you have a trailer, we'll schedule you specifically for that each window. And then the event wraps up around 2. So typically you could expect to be out of the event by 2:15 or 2:30, depending on how long people linger at the tables and finishing their meals. We do wait until everything is safe to leave. And as I mentioned, we have these 3 seasons for 2026, like we've done for the past couple years. So spring is going to be May 13th through June 25th, which is 7 weeks. Then we take a week-long break for July 1st and 2nd, kind of leading into July 4th holiday weekend. And then we'll kick off our summer season starting July 8th through the end of August 27th. Again, we'll have and there will be one pause within that 7-week period where there will be no Eats because of another special event going on in the park. And we'll have a break over Labor Day week leading into fall, which starts September 9th, going to October 15th. And that'll be a 6-week event, 6-week season to end out the fall. So with each of these seasons, we have different lineups each day. So Wednesdays and Thursdays, different lineups. And then each season, that lineup will change again. Every truck is able to apply for any of the seasons, and we do have you can participate in up to 2 seasons, or be placed in up to 2 seasons. That's meant to keep it fresh each season, give the patrons a new experience as they're coming out, and we can help promote the event with this is our new lineup for the spring or the summer or the fall. I referred to these before, but we do have these 3 different categories of food trucks. We have our entrees, which are mostly, main courses. And then we have beverages and dessert trucks as our 2 distinct vendor categories. All right, so this is what Eric was talking about earlier for our new setup for the 2026 season on Bannock Street. If you've seen Eats before, it's a similar layout, but just sort of shifted over onto Bannock Street. So we'll have our food trucks set up on the street on Bannock, and then we'll be able to utilize that park grass and the lawn for our seating area. Those are those little red dots. And like we've had in past years, we'll also have music and different performers every day with our Youth on Record partners. And typically around the same number of trucks we had last season. So about 14 for spring each day, and then summer and fall will be usually around 11 or 12 each day. So as you're going through your application, you may have already seen some of these vendor requirements so this is what you need in order to participate in Eats. First of all, your business professional license from the city and county of Denver. That we'll go through this a little bit more in the application. But that is something you need to show us that you're in good standing with the city and you have everything up to date. Same thing goes with your sales tax licenses, both for the city and state. We also require a certificate of insurance, or COI, which is just proof that you have liability insurance. And we require that from all participants for any events that we do in the park. A couple of the other things we look for are attendance reliability, just showing that you can show up for those shifts that you're scheduled for, communication to let us know, to constantly keep us informed of everything, ask questions, be communicative. A reliable mobile setup is also extremely important. Do you have a generator that is in good working order that will start up every day reliably? Your tow vehicle, if you have a trailer, is gonna start in the morning. Those things are something to keep in mind, and something we look for. And last but not least, commitment to sustainability. This is something we are it's very important to us, and you'll hear from our sustainability partners later on what those things look like. But we do require every person who participates in EATS to mark off saying, yes, they will abide by these sustainability regulations as well. Okay, and then these are our rates for 2026. They're the same as last year. So each day rate is based on the season, and then the full season price is based on the length of the season. So and then there are different pricing for entree trucks and then the dessert beverage. So entrees on the top, dessert beverage on below. As you can see, there's the daily rate that you can pay week by week, which is $100 per day for entrees for spring and summer, and $80 for the fall. If you pay, we do have a 10% discount if you prepay for the entire season up front. And that's something we do as a, thank you for paying in full right at the beginning. And so that's like I said, a 10% discount for the entire length of the season. And the price change for fall is just based on it is as the season goes on, as people are going back to school or what have you. It tends to be it calms down a little bit in September, October, but spring and summer are our busiest seasons at EATS. And
sorry, one thing I do want to add about this, as Allison has mentioned before, we do ask that all vendors submit their daily sales, and it's not to be overly overbearing about hey, let us know what you sell, let us know what you sell. It really is because we genuinely want to know how you're doing as a food truck, how you're doing in your sales. Obviously, we go through and we count how many people are coming, and we want to know how you're doing, how the sales are going, and we look at sales for trucks to calculate. Allison shared earlier some of the stats, some of the data for the trucks and how they did throughout the year. We want to understand, are trucks doing well? Are they selling a lot? Are they having a lot of and ultimately, are our rates in what we are charging entrees and what we're charging dessert and beverages reasonable? And sometimes it's not just that the daily rates reasonable, but Allison mentioned that in the summer and fall, we may decrease how many trucks overall there are. And this is based on feedback that we got from trucks a couple of years ago when we moved to this season model. And so that is all reflected in the rates that we charge, as well as how many trucks we schedule per season. So I just want to be very clear. We are not trying to overcharge. We do want to support you all as small businesses. We do want to make sure that that you all are successful. That's why we do ask everyone to submit your sales, and we're trusting you. I think we do ask for a screenshot if you're using Square or Stripe, just so that we have some verification of these amounts. And just know that we're not trying to gouge you. We're not trying to make money off of you. We are a nonprofit, and everything that you do pay us for this event always goes back into the care of the park. And just know that we're taking these data and we are making conscious and thoughtful efforts to make sure that we're not overcharging vendors. So we did not increase the amounts from last year to this year.
Absolutely. Thank you, Eric. Okay, so now we're going to move into the actual application and go through some of the, I'm going to flag some of the questions that we've either noticed in the past might need some more explanation, or just to make sure to kind of explain why we're asking these questions, and also some tips for, especially if it's your first time going through it, to just keep an eye out for these things as you're before you're submitting. And Eric is working to bring up that web page. Eric is serving as our IT for the presentation as well as co-host. So thank him for that.
Sorry, it's giving me the same issue where it's not showing that my screen is an option. Sorry about that. Yeah, okay. I'm just gonna share my screen like this. Okay, can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So first of all, if you go to our website, civiccenterpark.org, from the main homepage, go to EATS under events, Civic Center EATS, and then this big yellow button, apply to be a 2026 EATS food vendor. That'll take you to your vendor information page, and there is a lot of information shared here. So please, take your time, but we put it there so you have it. And we also have everything translated to Spanish. So if you click the blue button there, it'll jump you down the bottom towards the end of the page, and everything is also in Spanish, including, and then if you link to the, and there's also a link to our vendor rules and regulations. Please take a look at those as you're filling out your application. There's a lot of important information there in terms of payments, attendance, refunds, weather policies. As we know, Denver and Colorado's weather can change very quickly. So please just, take some time to review that before completing your application if possible. So now we're going to go into the actual application, which is also in English and in Spanish. The Spanish is in blue text, the English is in black text. At the very beginning, it'll go through those application requirements that I brought up earlier and go into a little bit more detail, especially about the permitting procedure. If you may have already been aware of the process of applying for a permit in Denver, but there's a lot there, and that is not something that we do, but we direct everyone to the City of Denver food license page. There's a link directly from here. So if you're a brand new food truck and starting that process, definitely make sure, if you haven't already, to start now, because it does take a long time to go through all the different inspection processes. There's also some more information about that new reciprocal permit information that went into effect January 2026. Take a look around that website. If you have questions, we can definitely try to help you navigate those if you're having any confusion. Yeah. All right. And then if you keep scrolling down, you'll get to the actual application. Most of the background information is pretty straightforward. We do have a place, if you have a partner, like if you have a business partner and you'd like to include both of your names, you can opt to do so. The primary contact field, this is very important that you put the person who is the person we should be emailing or calling or texting, because those this person should be getting all that information about if your application is accepted, your scheduling information, billing information, all of that. So just please be mindful if there's somebody besides the owner, or if it is the owner, that's the person that you should put there who will be getting that information. All right. The website, Facebook, and Instagram handle, this is something we do. We do ask you to share those just because it helps give us a sense of your food truck, of your presence on social media, and the general look and feel of your food truck, your food, the kind of events you're doing. So it's just another look into your business. In the About Your Food Truck section, this is really about your food specifically here, where we're asking you what kind of category. If you're on the fence about whether what category you're in, think about if you serve both entrees and desserts or beverages think about it as your 60% or more of your daily sales should be that category. So if you're primarily selling desserts and or beverages, that's the one you're opting into. That's the best gauge right there. We also we have a bunch of different cuisine options that you can select to explain your food. But if there's something that doesn't quite fit, you can always select other and specify if you have something that doesn't quite fit one of those pre-assigned categories. Then we do have this optional question of what makes your food unique. This is really specific to the type of cuisine, what you're making, what's on your menu, and really what sets you apart from other applications. This is something, like I said, it's optional, but we do encourage you to fill this out, especially if it's your first time applying, because we do get a lot of similar applications from different categories. So it's always nice to see what sets you apart. Yeah, and then if these are pretty straightforward, then this next,
Sorry.
okay. And then this next question, this next open-ended question is also optional, but basically we want to support unique and emerging businesses from underrepresented communities. And really, this is your opportunity to tell us your business story. What sets your business apart? How does it fit within the Denver landscape? Why is it unique, and how would it then contribute to EATS? This really, again, helps us to it helps your application sets apart, and it's really a chance for you to tell us like how you got started, why you're passionate about the type of food or cuisine that you're serving, and that. So it helps us get to know you a little bit more. So we strongly encourage you to answer that question as well. Okay, so most of these are very straightforward logistics setup questions. In the business information section, we did add a couple of additional new questions this year. If you've applied before, we're interested in if you have more than one food truck. Just a sense if you do have multiple, like if you have a fleet of food trucks, and or if you have a brick and mortar along with your food truck business. This just helps us, again, get a sense of the types of businesses that are applying to participate in EATS, and also gets a sense of like if we see a lot of food trucks that have that goal of opening a brick and mortar if they haven't already, and just, again, helps us get a sense of the type of applicants we're getting. We also ask for, similarly, number of employees that you work with. And then this question, what is the annual sales revenue for all of your food related businesses? So that would be all, like if you do have more than one food truck, or if you have a brick and mortar plus the food truck, just the full amount of that. And again, this is to gauge the types of businesses that are applying. And also we have the possibility of potentially showing the impact of the entrepreneurial impact of EATS on our businesses that we're supporting with this event. Next, this gets into the scheduling information. This is when you really want to think about your schedule for the upcoming year. Like I mentioned earlier, we are applicants, you can apply to be a part of any and all of the 3 seasons, but you may not be assigned to every season that you select. We do have more applicants than we have available regular spots for, just so you know. And we do get, you know, there are more people. For example, spring is a very popular season. So, you know, we do have more applicants who select spring or opt into wanting to participate in spring. So I definitely encourage you, the more flexible you are here, you know, if you select all 3 seasons, you have a higher chance of getting a placement, the more flexible you can be, but be realistic and honest with your own flexibility, your own availability, because we want to make sure that you can also commit to that schedule. So, for example, where we ask if you have a preference on Wednesday and Thursday, if you select both days, that helps your chances for being selected. However, if you really can't do Thursdays regularly, you know, that doesn't, and you had to, if you were scheduled for a Thursday slot, but you have an evening Thursday commitment every week, you know, that might not be the best spot for you. So you might want to say just Wednesdays. But again, the more you can select that you're available for potentially would help you out with placement. All right, and I won't get into sustainability because we have our partners who are here to answer some questions about that. And then this is just this area about licensing. This is we are not asking you in this application to submit your licenses or proof of permits at this time, but we do require you to have those permits before you start your participation for your first season of EATS. So we usually collect those about 3 to 4 weeks before, or we require you to submit them about 3 to 4 weeks before the start of your season. So if you're a summer food truck, it would be a month before it would be like early June when we would ask you to submit those. So these questions are only to say, yes, I understand that if selected, I will have everything up to date. And towards the end, we do request demographic information. Just to be very, very clear, this is all optional and they do not affect your application in any way. These is for us to get a sense of our applicant pool and to promote participation from a diverse range of vendors. We do not use the data, it's anonymous. We may aggregate the data altogether, but your identity as an individual vendor would not be used publicly or shared. And then all you have to do is click submit. We do ask a couple of questions at the end, like how did you hear about us? Did anyone refer you? And then we do ask you to attest that all the information is correct, as best of your knowledge. Sign it and then submit. Definitely make sure when you hit submit, you should get a confirmation like submission received or that it was successful. If you don't, there might be a required field you missed from above. So just make sure to go through that process and confirm. And then you should get an email confirmation as well, saying that we'd received your submission. So yeah, so there's a lot in that application. You know, you have a chance if you have questions as you're going through it to reach out to us, but hopefully that sheds up some light on that a little bit more if there was any confusion or question. All right. So then once you submit your application, you might be thinking, you know, we do get a lot of applications we get more applications than the number of spots we have, like I said. And so, you know, how do we choose? Like, how do we pick out the trucks for each season? What are we looking for in your application? And so Eric is going to give a little bit of information of what different criteria, different things we're looking at when we're reviewing the applications.
Okay, got back to it. Great. So as Allison's mentioned, we get a lot of applications from some. Oh, am I? Yes, I'm off mute. Okay, we get a lot of applications from some great food trucks, and you know, there's only a certain number of spots that we can give and that we can fill for the year. So it's always a really challenging task to select the trucks. What we look at, what we have to do is, you know, look at all the applicants, look at, you know, what is what is the full picture of who we have to choose from. So some of those things that we take into account and that we consider are cuisine type. We want to do right by all of you. We don't want to pack any particular day with all Mexican food trucks on the same day. We don't want to have all coffee trucks on the same day, right? We want an event that on Wednesday and a Thursday will have a good variety, a good diversity of cuisines for you all to be successful, but for the attendees to have a good variety to choose from. And that, there might be two dessert trucks, but it might be someone that has ice cream and then someone that has baked goods, right? So there might be a variety in desserts, but they're not going to be overlapping too much. But there will be some overlap. With 14 trucks, it is okay that there might be two Mexican trucks. And we're going to do our best to look at your menus and make sure that there, is going to be some variation to some degree, but there still might be a little bit of overlap, and that's okay. We do ask you to submit pictures of your food as well as your menu. So we're looking at the presentation of your food as well as your truck. Things like your menu, things like, are your visuals, are the graphics on your truck, is your menu appealing? Is it hard to see? Is it impossible to see? Is it overwhelming? We look at all those things. I'm a big fan. I love being on Denver Food on Reddit. One of the big points of conversation is the price of food trucks, portion size. We realize that it's tough right now. We realize that wages and food costs are challenging. We get that. And we are going to be looking at overall price and portion size. We look at, again, the pictures of the food options that you are, that you offer. Are all of your entree options over $20? Is that might be something that we have to consider. Are all of your coffee drinks over $10? That's something that we'll have to consider. And then even the quality and quantity of menu items. We don't necessarily want the Cheesecake Factory of food trucks, where you're looking at a menu that's 3 pages long, because that can be overwhelming. And we've found that sometimes that leads to ticket times that have people waiting around for such a long time. We know that people are down there to get their food, and then get back to work. They have 30 minutes, they have 45 minutes, they have an hour. And so, looking at the quantity of menu items, so that it's not so overwhelming and it's not too many things, but also that maybe it's not just one item or two items, that you have a good balance of quantity and quality of menu items. One of the questions is, what other events have you been at? Sales success, social media presence. Do you have a lot of followers? Do you post a lot? I'm not a huge social media person myself, but I know that in a small business, you have to put yourself out there, you have to promote yourself. So by having a big social media presence, will that help attract other people to the event that may not have ever been to our event before? And then event and community harmony. In addition to the variety of food trucks, cuisine types, things like that, are you helping to bring in new trucks? Are you helping to create a positive environment and atmosphere? In the last session that we did earlier today, some of our veteran vendors have talked about how wonderful it is to have an event where everyone's helping each other out. And we're not necessarily able to see that up front, but when people apply again that is something that we take into account. Our vendors, folks that returning vendors, were they good to work with? Were they kind and thoughtful to other vendors in the past? Or, like just that event and community harmony? Do they come recommended from someone else? So, mention that in your application, that someone recommended that you apply, because those are the kinds of things that are meaningful to us if someone referred you to apply to the event. So those are some of the things that we take into consideration when selecting the vendors, because again, we only have so many number of spots. We look in, and this wasn't necessarily on here, but we also think about seasonality too. People may not necessarily want piping hot soup on a summer day, so we might just like think about maybe that would be great in the fall, and or maybe that wouldn't quite work for this time of year, and so just know that those are some of the factors that we consider when selecting and scheduling trucks. And as much as you want, and Allison mentioned this, if you only put spring and everyone else put spring, you may not be selected as a regularly scheduled truck. Maybe you'll be a drop-in, and I think Allison talked a little bit about that.
Yes, and actually, thanks, Eric. I forgot to highlight that in the application, but if you aren't ready to commit to a full season, or maybe your schedule is not as consistent to be a regular food truck, we do have the option to apply to be a drop-in vendor only, and that means if selected to join our drop-in list, if we had a last-minute cancellation, if somebody had to cancel their regular spot, we would put that opening to our drop-in substitute list. And then that's something where we notify you about 48 hours before the event saying, hey, we have a slot open on this coming Wednesday for an entree truck. Who wants it? And so if that is something of interest, there's some more information on the application page with all that vendor information that you can read about that a little bit more as well.
And sometimes it's more than 48 hours. Sometimes we know well in advance. And even with that, it might be that we have a Mexican truck that can't be there, so we'll prioritize a Mexican truck as a replacement, or, like there's various factors, but we do have that drop-in list.
Yep. Great. Thank you so much. So we're going to turn it over, going to switch gears away from the application and just talk about some of the sustainability efforts that we have at EATS, that to make sure that our events can be as green as possible. This is something that we take very seriously. And each year we try to do a little bit more to be at 100% compliance. So our first person speaking today is going to be Tom from Scrap. They're our compost partner for Civic Center EATS. Take it away, Tom.
Thank you, Allison and Eric. Like Allison said, my name is Tom. I work for Scraps. We're super excited to be the compost hauler again for Civic Center EATS this season. As most of you can imagine, there's a lot of waste produced at events like this, with a lot of people coming in, all different types of people, a lot of different vendors giving forks and plates and cups. Where does all that material go? So generally, in the past, a lot of these products are single use and just end up in the landfill producing methane, polluting our environment. So with us, what we want to do, and what a sustainability initiative for Civic Center EATS is to make sure that the majority, if not all, of those products that you're handing out to your customers are compostable, and if not compostable, recyclable. So when it comes to compostable cups, plates, cutlery, pretty much anything that you use right now in your food truck, there is most likely a compostable option for it. And when I say compostable, all of these products are made from either plant-based fibers or plant-based quote-unquote plastics. So when put into a compost pile, they actually add valuable nutrients that we can then use in our finished compost to put into our soils here in Colorado and create a healthier Colorado for future generations. So with the compost products that we accept at Scraps and in partnership with Civic Center EATS, you're really going to want to look for what's called a BPI certification. What I have here is a compost bag, but this logo, let me unblur my screen. This logo right here, BPI compostable. If a product has BPI compostable on it, BPI is just a third-party company that ensures the compostability of a product, then we can accept it. You can find, I'm sure that where you're purchasing your cups and your cutlery or anything that you're handing out your food or your drinks in to customers now, you can find a compostable alternative. And if you can't, I'm happy to help out. There are a couple distributors here in the Front Range where you can pick it up, or you could also order delivery same day or same week delivery. It's always best to purchase a little bit more than you would expect, especially if it's a busy day, because as part of you providing compostable material, it's also a situation where you can educate one of your customers on, oh, hey, this is a compostable product that goes into the compost bin and that's getting diverted from the landfill. And in turn, in my experience of working in the food industry before I started working in composting, being able to tell prospective customers or returning customers that you are committed to sustainability or that you have 100% compostable products, it sort of works as also a marketing technique for your company and business as well. And I think something also to keep in mind getting in this habit is that there is a new ordinance in the city of Denver starting September 1st, where not all events, but permanent events by the city of Denver, you are going to be required to purchase compostable products. I know that's not the case here, even though it's highly, highly recommended. But it's something good to get in the habit of now. So if you're doing another event in the future, you're already in the swing of things, and it's not a new learning curve. So like I said, when it comes to purchasing compostable products, and when I say the products, it's really your sauce ramekins, your hot and iced cups, as well as lids, plates, your cutlery. They will all have either on the package, that the box that you're buying, or the product itself, that BPI certified logo on it. Other products that we accept in our compost stream are coffee filters, paper towels, wooden and bamboo stir sticks for coffee, or I think the other one earlier was like a wooden spoon for ice cream. Yeah, essentially anything that's not plastic, styrofoam, aluminum, reusable, or single-use plastics like that. Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, if anyone has questions, if you'd like to type it in the chat, you're welcome to type in the chat or raise your hand if you do have any questions for Tom before he leaves us.
Yeah, and the last thing I'll say is that I know composting is new to so many people. It could be intimidating. I am 100% here as a resource. If you just have questions about composting in general, about sourcing compostable products, about why you think you should even do it in the first place, more than happy to be a resource for that.
And we'll make sure to share Tom's info after the session. It looks like Alicia from Kitty Beans Coffee has a question. Would you like to type it in or go ahead and say your question? Oh, there we go. Is the BPI number just for commercially compost products? I have cups that are backyard compostable, but don't see a BPI number or logo.
Do you know the brand of these cups? BPI is real. They don't go around. So essentially, there's a lot of greenwashing out there, and greenwashing is essentially when a brand will label something as compostable, even though it doesn't necessarily break down in a compost pile. There's no regulation, statewide or nationwide. Well, statewide there is, but nationwide there's not. So anything made in Colorado has to be labeled.
So Alicia says that they used to be Sophie or SoFi, but are now called Nothing. Do you know that brand?
I'm not
I
familiar. Let
haven't heard
me
of that
see.
brand.
Hold on, I'm looking at it right now.
And while you look that up, Todd, I know there was a question in the last session from someone about bamboo or wood, like sticks and forks and things like that, that came from someone, and you said that those are, if they are like made out of wood, like stirrers and things like that, that those are compostable, even though they may not have the word compostable written on them. That those items are compostable, like wooden
Yeah.
stick stirrers.
100%. Yeah. And
Yeah.
another bit of a clarification, like I said, like a lot of the BPI logo and commercially compostable is on 90% of products. But for example, those off-white fiber-based plates and bowls that you'll find mostly come from a brand called World Centric. You will see commercially compostable on the box of the products that you buy. They are stamped into the logo itself is stamped into the product, but it's very, very hard to see if you're just looking at a singular bowl. So, and then to that cup question, it does have a European certification on there. I would say it's okay to use those for now, but then moving forward, just look for that BPI certification, because that's really the standard certification for compostable products in Denver right now.
Yeah, got it. Thanks for that question. Any other questions for Tom? And like I said, I will be providing some. You can definitely email questions afterwards or ask us if anything comes up. Taking snapshots. Oh, good. Thank you, Barbara. She got her coffee cups from Green Paper Products from Business, Costco. So that might be a good resource for you.
Yeah, Green Paper Products is great, and they have a bunch of compostable products.
Yep. Great. Well, Tom, thank you so much for joining us for both of our sessions today. I'm going to let you go. And again, if anyone has further questions, I will we'll definitely relay them to Tom. So have a good night.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great night.
Yeah. Bye. All right. Thanks. So next we have Lisa from RAC, and she's going to talk a little bit about the Engines Off grant program, which is about replacing your gas generator to an electric or battery. Take it, Lisa.
Yes. Hi. Thank you. Thanks everybody for being here tonight. As Allison said, my name is Lisa Strawn, and I am the program coordinator for the Engines Off grant that's offered through the Regional Air Quality Council. You can jump into the next slide. The grant is there to support food truck business owners replace their gas generator that is often used for operations with battery or solar power system. We support up to 80% of eligible pre-tax costs, or $20,000 as a limit to purchase the equipment, as well as the installation pieces. The grant currently is open to 9 counties across the Front Range. New for this year, we began offering support in Weld and Larimer as well. As part of the grant, we ask that the food truck owner contributes 20% match and also recycles their current generator. The match, for example, if the project is $10,000, RAC could offer a grant of $8,000, while the owner would pay $2,000, to really build that sense of ownership and partnership within the program. We can jump into the next slide. The grant itself began in September of 2024. And since then, we have electrified 75 mobile businesses and removing 64 generators off of the streets. This has resulted in over $1 million directly invested into food truck businesses around Denver. And while the 20% match can be an investment. We have found that through the savings on fuel and generator maintenance, that food truck owners are able to make that 20% investment back in a very quick manner, often less than like half a year, just from the fuel costs alone and savings. The program is great for obviously the fuel savings, also will reduce noise around your truck, reduce noise across the entire event when all 15 trucks have a generator going. It gets pretty noisy, hard to hear, hard to think. And also is going to reduce the smell that a gas generator costs, which is a benefit to just your employees, yourself, your customers. Due to the quietness and the lack of smell, we have found that some of our grantees have had more opportunities at private events, weddings, because of that kind of green aspect that reduces the sound and emissions as well. My contact information on the next slide, and as well as a link to the application, is all here. Please feel free to write this down, reach out to me via phone or email. I'm happy to support you as you explore the possibility of taking your food truck green and battery operated. I would love to jump in and ask any or answer any questions now.
Hey, Lisa, are there any deadlines or timelines for this grant application?
Yeah, the grant application this year will close September 1st, or when the money has been all spent. So last year we closed a little bit early because we exhausted our funds, which was excellent. So, we hope to look at success again this year.
And then there's a question in the chat from Nico. Do we need to go through a specific provider for the electrification, or can we go directly to EcoFlow, for example?
We work with various partners, including several different Ace Hardware stores, which have EcoFlows as part of their regular stocking items. We work with 15 different Ace Hardware stores across the Front Range, and those are all listed on the website.
Could I ask a direct question, sorry, on the EcoFlow and Ace Hardware? So if we were to do EcoFlow, does it have to be through, the reason I'm asking is Ace Hardware is significantly more expensive than going to EcoFlow directly.
We've changed our model this year to work directly with partners so that we are reimbursing them directly instead of the food truck owners, just to honor the business to business model more of the program. I encourage you to take that pricing to Ace and kind of discuss that with them. I know that they are most of the stores that I have worked with, I know are willing and open to work with people.
Thank you so much. Awesome.
Yeah, of course. Any other questions I can help answer right now? And if they come up later, please feel free to just email me. I'm happy to support you in this effort.
Yeah, absolutely. And yes, feel free to we can send over questions directly to Lisa if anything comes up later. But I do want to be mindful of everyone's time. We're kind of coming up to the end. So thank you so much, Lisa, for joining us, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great night.
Bye. All right. So to wrap up the end of our session, we did want to just offer a chance for new vendors to hear from some of our not old vendors, but current vendors, people who've been working with us for various years. So we have 3 different vendors who are joining us: Nico, Barbara, and Abby and Charlie from various seasons, and they all kind of have a different perspective working with us for a long, like many years. And in Nico's case, and then in the case of Barbara from Carun Cafe, last year was her first year. So I'd love to bring the 3 of you up to the top of the. You want to say hello and Yay, there we go.
My name is Barbara from Carun Cafe, and yeah, last year was my first year doing EATS, And I'm really grateful because I got the opportunity to put myself out there. You get regular customers who value your work, and they start to know your products and even know your name and who you are. And you can make a lot of connections, and the community between vendors and customers is awesome. So I think it's a fantastic opportunity and experience.
Hey, thanks, Barbara.
I'm happy to chime in next.
Great.
So, hey, this is Nico with Colorado Berliner House. So, I've been with EATS with this concept only for 1 year, but I had my other concept at EATS for I think 8 or 9 years before that. So almost a decade working with Civic Center Conservancy before the pandemic, during the pandemic, after. Kind of what I want to say is that like this event is really in the center of Denver, and it really, really gives you the opportunity to get your brand out there, known. The amount of companies that come through Civic Center Park, whether they're there just because they have a meeting in downtown or they buy the vouchers that the Conservancy does a lot of times, really just kind of exposes you to all those. And so, regardless from what you make on the daily at Eats, which for some people could be amazing, for some people could be a decent lunch, it just obviously varies on your product. Um, the exposure you get, in my opinion, is like no other event in Denver because you're interacting directly, not just with customers, but also with businesses. And in our case specifically, Civic Center played a big role in us expanding and moving into Avanti Food Hall in under a year from when the concept launched because we just had this exposure through media, through all this, and we kind of got on Avanti's radar and they reached out to us and said, hey, is this something you guys would like be interested in bringing into Avanti? So the opportunities from Civic Center are endless, and I think it's probably one of the best marketing tools there really is to promote your food truck if growth is kind of what you're aiming for, which we're all in business at the end of the day. So I really, really think this partnership works phenomenally, and you're also supporting really the heart of Denver at the same time. So it's really something that works well for both parties, and really, really is something that ends up becoming, for me at least, it's a fun thing. A lot of days, I mean, Allison and Eric even know this, I might have employees working on the truck and I'll just bring my laptop and sit and eat and just work there just because I enjoy being there in the park and, can keep an eye on the truck, but also just it's a nice place to be.
Yeah, thanks for saying that. Yeah, it's a really nice environment at EATS,
Oh yeah, no, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Avi, Charlie,
Yeah.
did you want to say anything?
Yes, Alison, I would like to take it forward from where Nico left. As you said, I think it's one of the best advertisement tools for any truck in Denver. As I said, when we started operating, we started with the Civic EATS. And then, from there on, we picked up in the city of Denver. That was the opportunity we got into Capitol Hill for the event. All of this, we have a lot of leads coming in where they say that they saw the truck at the Civic EATS. And then, it's like, we're very thankful that we have been a part of this one. And then everyone has been so helpful to us. And then as Chef Charlie's, said, it's like a blessing which we share with other people too. So anytime we go to a new event, we tell those people, hey, have you guys tried the Civic EATS? You should give it a try. And then we try to connect because we want to grow this family as we can see. And then also to Lisa, we wanted to say thank you because we met Lisa at the Civic EATS last year when they were trying to tell the food trucks about this electrification. And then we are now 100% electrified food truck and compostable, which makes us, I think, zero wastage. In that matter, yeah.
Awesome.
So we are very happy to have learned all those things from participating at the Civic EATS. And then this year we await, something new for us. And then I'm sure it's going to be a great year for all of us. And then anything we can do to take this forward from here on, to share the blessing, the love, the families, we'll do that. Always thankful.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so much for saying that. For the sake of time, we're coming up on our 75 minutes, so I appreciate everyone for sticking around. I'd love to open it up to the floor. If anybody has questions at this point about anything we've discussed at all today, about the application process, about scheduling, about construction, anything at all, I'd love to give the chance. Feel free to raise your hand or type something in the chat. could be a question for me or Eric, or for one of our veteran vendors. So anything at all. Oh.
And
Wow.
if people start logging off, just a reminder, the application is due March 1st by
Yes.
8 p.m. Again, you can go to www.civiccenterpark.org to find out information about the event. Yeah, we'll stick on. If anyone else has any questions, again, you can type it in the chat, or you can ask. You can come off mute and ask it directly.
Yeah. All right. Great question, Sweet Daruma. Thank you so much. When would we know if we're accepted? Yes. So we start reviewing, we wait to review our applications until that deadline, March 1st. So that's when we really start the review process, is that first part of March. And so once we start reviewing those and looking at our schedule and placing people, our notification time is mid to late March is when you'll be hearing from us. So we do work on placing our seasons all at once. So we do a lineup for all 3 seasons in March, and then we will say, hey, here, you've been accepted to this season at this time, and then that vendor will have the choice to say yes, or if maybe their schedule has changed, they're no longer available, we may then go back and give that placement to another truck. So it is a little bit of a process of creating that lineup and matching up. So it's a bit of a rolling process for a few weeks, but it'll be around mid-March. Okay. You can't modify your application, I don't believe, but you can submit a new application if you want to do if you want to change your answer to any other of the questions. So we'll just look at the most recent application submitted. Anything else from anybody? And we're available afterwards by email, or you can reach out to Eric and I. Where both of us read through that activations. Eric, would you mind going to that last page of the slide that has the email, just so it's there? And yes, like I said, both Eric and myself will read those emails. And so you can reach us. Our website has a lot of those resources, the application itself, and then those vendor guidelines. And then we're here. So we look forward to seeing applications. And thank you all so much again for attending our TED Talk. All right.